Hey guys, Opal here, and today I'm going to be doing a build for the mushroom house. And this build's going to be a little bit different because I haven't sped the footage up, so I'll really be going step by step into my process and thought process. So for this build I went for a kind of natural cottagey feel, so I'm using a lot of barrels and other kind of wooden items and rustic items. I'm using the ancient gardener because I honestly don't really like gardening that much, so I try to hide it in the corner. And I'm just adding the cart and some of the wooden crates and the sacks. And I use a lot of the red trees because they fit in very small spaces. Here I'm just trying to find a small version of the tree so it doesn't block my vision too much when I'm walking down this road. And I also just add in a couple of the maple trees to break up some of the red. I wanted to put down the leaf pile, but I thought it kind of stuck out a little bit too much, so instead I go with some seating, and I just use 2 benches, and I just put one in front of the mushroom house and another one by the farm. I also go in with these thorny vines, and I love how they look in more natural areas. I also use some beach grass, and I love using this in areas where I don't want items to spawn. This way my path can be clear when I'm wanting to mine resources or get to my farm and things like that. For the foliage I use a lot of these flowery bushes, and I chose this particular variant of the bush because I like the way that it matches with the grass. And I'm also using the ferns, also from the Forest of Valor. And because I want the space to feel really cluttered, I use these butterfly flowers and also some of the wild tangle plants. I use the wild tangle plants a lot because they only take up one space. So it's really easy to clutter and fit these flowers or foliage into smaller spaces. So here I'm just finding little areas where there's a bit of a gap and trying to fit it in to create a more cluttered look. Then I go in with these foliage and I just place them around the tree. I really just wanted this corner to be really lush and full of a lot of foliage. I decided on these wooden lampposts, and I think these are just really good lights for really cottagey or cozy builds. And I just try to place them in spots where they don't kind of obstruct the view or the pathing or anything like that. And then I'm just going through my items and I just see what's going to work in the space. So I pull out, I think, the mushroom shelf, and I tried to put it behind these fences, but I decided to put a little bit of a area at the end here with the shelf, and then I add in a table and I just clutter it up a little bit. My whole thought process behind my builds is I basically just look at an area and look at my items and I see what fits. Usually I'll find 1 or 2 items that I really want to include, and then I just find some more items that match that theme, or I just use a lot of foliage to fill out the space. My biggest tip would be to look on Pinterest or the internet and look at some designs or ideas, and then go through your own item list and see what items can match that theme. If you don't have that many items from Scrooge or premium items, then just craft some of your basic items. I mean, I use so much of the basic items that you can craft, such as the barrels and benches, and then just use a lot of foliage to fill out the space. In this build, I don't really use that many items that are from Scrooge. The only thing I think I use are the bike, that shelf, and obviously the premium house. But other than that, a lot of my decorations are just either craftable or foliage. Here I just grab a couple of clutter items and I chuck it on the table. I try to fill up a lot of my builds, that way they look more detailed. And then just adding a lot of beach grass and other foliage items really just enhances your build without really having to do much. Here I'm just going in and I'm adding my crops. I think these are the yams. And then I just go through and I realize that this little part here doesn't have a lot going on, so I add a couple more bits of foliage. If you're ever struggling in the middle of a build, just hop out of it, have a little walk around, and you can kind of see maybe what it needs or how it's looking. I also just decided to add some more rocks for a bit more texture on my pathing. Here's the final walkthrough. I really loved how this turned out. This was a bit of a different video, but I hope if you're someone that likes to follow along with builds or recreate it, that this was helpful for you. I probably won't be able to do a lot of these videos in the future, but I'll try to put some out here and there, only because usually my builds take over an hour and it's quite hard to comment on an hour of building. That's why speed building usually works best. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.